He should be right here, eh?
No, I won't let him do it to me again.
Alpha Flight, Canada's X-Men Origins. You all are familiar with X-Men, right? I mean, who doesn't love Wolverine coming and saving the day? But did you know that Canada has its own version of X-Men? And of course, with Wolverine in it. Enter Alpha Flight, a powerhouse team that battles everything from mythical beasts to alien invaders. Born from the mind of John Byrne and first appearing in the pages of the X-Men in 1979, Alpha Flight quickly carved out its own niche as Canada's premier superhero squad. Today, we'll discuss their origin, their major battles, and some of their most significant members. Let's get started. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. How was Alpha Flight formed? And what shaped their early missions? It all started with James Hudson, who was born in Ontario as a scientifically gifted kid, and soon enough designed a cybernetic helmet. Pretty impressive for a young genius, right? Later, he joined the Amcan Petrochemical Company in Canada as the vice president of R&D, where he built an armored suit with a cybernetic helmet as an interface for digging geological resources. Heather McNeil, who later became Hudson's wife, was the executive secretary of the same company and was easily smitten by Hudson. Both of them learned that the suit was to be turned over to the American military to be used in combat. Disgusted, they both left, but not before Hudson took his suit away with him and destroyed the blueprints. To save Hudson from prosecution and ensure the rights of the suit stayed with Hudson, Heather met with the Canadian government, which settled the case with Amcan on their behalf on the condition that they would join the top-secret Department H under the Canadian Ministry of Defense. Eventually, the couple met Logan, aka Wolverine, when he attacked the couple and was shot in reciprocation. Hudson, being Hudson, refused to leave a dying Logan behind and aided him until he healed, only to recruit him as a special agent in Department H. Hudson wanted his technology to be put to good use. Inspired by the Fantastic Four in America, he set out to create a team of his own, named Flight, with agents having superhuman powers, who would go on missions for the Canadian government under the liaison of Gary Cody. Together, Hudson and Wolverine recruited other agents for Flight, including Stitch, Snowbird, St. Elmo, Groundhog, and Smart Alec. Unfortunately, their first mission to save New York from a missile was a huge failure, and they lost St. Elmo in the mission. This made Hudson and the team realize that it was, after all, not such a great idea to send untrained and unprepared personnel to fieldwork. So they developed a hierarchy system. Under this, the agents would first get recruited into Gamma Flight. Once they complete the training, they would be promoted to Beta Flight, and once they were completely ready for fieldwork, they would become a part of Alpha Flight, the only branch allowed to take on missions. After a while, Wolverine decided to leave Department H for personal reasons, and Hudson rose to the role of Alpha Flight's guardian, donning his own superpowered suit in Wolverine's absence. By this time, Alpha Flight had become a 6-member team with Hudson as the Vindicator, Sasquatch, Shaman, Aurora, Snowbird, and Northstar. However, they realized they needed Wolverine back, so one of their first missions became recapturing Wolverine. Guess some teammates are just too valuable to let go. After a few other missions, this team, however, got disbanded as the Canadian government faced some financial restraints. Thankfully, the disbandment did not last long. A short while after the disbandment, Canada was invaded by the Great Beasts, a group of powerful creatures from a different dimension. This caused the 6 original members of the Alpha Flight to band together with 2 members of Beta Flight, Marina and Puck, to defeat the beast and send them back to their realm. Following this event, the 8 continued engaging in several missions. In one mission, James Hudson faced off against the Omega Flight, a team of supervillains assembled by Jerome Jackson, and met his end. Omega Flight lures Hudson into a mall to trap him, where he is forced to fight against multiple members of Omega Flight, relying mostly on his battlesuit, which causes heavy damage to it. Tragically, even after Hudson tries to stabilize the power system of the suit, the core overloads and Hudson dies in an explosion. Heather witnesses her husband's death and eventually takes her husband's place in the Alpha Flight as the Vindicator. A lot follows with some major reshuffling of the team. What major conflicts and reforms redefined Alpha Flight over the years? Once the reign of Alpha Flight was cut loose from Hudson's hand, the team underwent many reforms and shakeups. Some original members of the team, like Snowbird and Northstar, left Alpha Flight for good, and some new members were recruited, like Madison Jeffries and Talisman box. Through all this, the team kept going. Eventually, the Canadian government also realized that Alpha Flight was indeed an asset, so they reverted to funding the team again and established a new headquarters in Tamarin Island. Though the cordial relationship between the team and the government could not last long, over time, it became strained. This was partly because Alpha Flight was becoming more and more rogue, and the Canadian government could no longer keep them in check as much as they would like to. To secure their control over the team once again, the government, along with Gary Cody, resurrected Bedlam, who was once sealed away in a cocoon by Wolverine. The plan, however, backfired, and the moment Bedlam was freed, he wiped Cody's mind and left him brain dead, while moving on to create his own team of superhumans, Derangers. The plan was to pit Derangers against Alpha Flight and take control of the team that wins the fight to create a new world. Alpha Flight was able to defeat Defender with the help of Wolverine and the Derangers, but at what cost? By that time, most of the team was decimated and Department H was destroyed. So the team hopped on from one planet to another, one dimension to another, and when they did return, they caused an international incident in China, leading to their disbandment. As if things weren't complicated enough, by the time Alpha Flight had returned to their reality, the government had already created a new team of Gamma Flight as their replacement. So, of course, the two teams clashed. Alpha Flight by now knew one thing for sure. They did not want to be controlled by the government anymore. So they rejected any and all support from the government and continued to operate as an independent team. Gamma Flight, however, took a different course and continued to work alongside the Canadian government. This arrangement also did not last for long. Both teams had to once again come together to fight off Land the Sorcerer, following which Gamma Flight was almost destroyed and Alpha Flight was reinstated as a government agency. Alpha Flight and Department H took another major hit when the Master of the Universe, along with his anti-guard, resurrected James Hudson, came to Canada and started the Superpowers Registration Act, which limited the operations of mutants. Just when everyone thought Department H would not live to see another day, it came back from the grave once the Canadian government received an unprecedented amount of funding. But this time around, it was not sugar, spice, and everything nice. Instead, Department H took a dark turn. On the outside, it began sponsoring several institutions and even an orphanage, while at the same time forming a new Alpha Flight with a teenage version of Hudson as the leader. On the inside, Department H became a hub for criminal activities, which they kept hidden from Alpha Flight. General Clark, the then administrative head, used illegal brainwashing tactics to coerce members of the Alpha Flight, which was opposed by the team. After Clark's death, Gentry replaced him as the administrative head and banned the entire Black projects. Gentry seemed to have a much kinder and more positive attitude towards the team, but he was later revealed to have connections with the villainous Porcupine. The Teenage Guardian was also revealed to be a clone, but the real Hudson was resurrected by the original Sasquatch. Hudson and Sasquatch started their own team of Alpha Flight, but later merged with the other team, and this reformed team, with the help of Wolverine and Snowbird, defeated the Advanced Idea Mechanics, a weapon-making terrorist group. Unfortunately, the teenage Hudson lost his life during the battle. This reformed Alpha Flight also aided Wolverine in his fight with the sorcerer Mauvais. One of the most notable challenges of Alpha Flight was against a mad scientist who developed romantic feelings towards Heather, and to keep her to himself, almost killed Hudson. Thankfully, Hudson survived, and Heather eventually birthed a baby girl. The Alpha Flight also engaged in a battle with the X-Men when they began their so-called rescue mission to retrieve the young mutants from Xavier Institute, believing that the Institute was not safe for children. This was followed by a fierce battle with the Plot X. After the Plot X, a warrior alien race, captured most of the Alpha Flight, Sasquatch gathered a new team with Yukon Jack and Zhuja Yu to fight the Plot X, but eventually stopped due to a moral dilemma when they found unhatched eggs in the Plot X ship. The original Alpha Flight took them back to the Plot X home planet to raise as their own, while Sasquatch's group, along with the Plot X Mar, stayed back to defend Canada. Another major turn in Alpha Flight's timeline was when Guardian, Vindicator, Marina, and Shaman were all resurrected from the dead during the Chaos War. They reunited with Sasquatch, Aurora, Northstar, and Snowbird to fight the Great Beasts, who were ultimately impaled by Amatsu Mikaboshi. With most of the original team now alive, they proceeded to save Canada from a fascist takeover by the Unity Party, which was later exposed to have been controlled by the Master of the World. What's interesting about this battle was the spousal conflict between the Guardian and Vindicator, as she assembled a team of her own, Alpha Strike. While they do manage to defeat the Unity Party, Alpha Flight disbands once again. Following the disbandment, Alpha Flight made some scattered appearances here and there. Puck becomes a member of X-Men. Aurora, Sasquatch, and Northstar also work with X-Men in some instances, and Shaman and Talisman appear in some spiritual and magical context. Their next major appearance as a team occurs during the Orchis phase. Orchis ran a propaganda campaign under which all mutants were declared to be a threat to Canada. During that period, Department H formed a new Alpha Flight, which was primarily an anti-mutant task force comprising non-mutant members only. To aid the anti-mutant agenda, Box Sentinels were also created. In this pursuit, Guardian, Shaman, Snowbird, and Puck were forced to hunt down mutants and even some of their former team members, despite their reluctance. But behold, they had a secret agenda. While they do initially appear to hunt mutants, they were, in reality, helping the mutants escape and protecting them from the agents of Orchis. Even though Northstar was not a part of the official Alpha Flight at this point, he was central to the conflict and worked together with the others to rescue the mutants, especially to protect his husband, Kyle. Aurora's loyalties were also constantly tested during these events, all while she plays as a double agent within Alpha Flight, but finally sides with her brother, Northstar, and the mutants. Once Alpha Flight became exposed as mutant sympathizers and traitors, Department H arrested them and formally disbanded them. As of now, the team remains fractured, but with the members still alive. Major and supporting members of Alpha Flight. Primary members: Guardian, James Hudson. James MacDonald Hudson, the scientist and engineer extraordinaire who later became the Guardian and founder of Alpha Flight, was not born with any superpowers other than his brain. While working for Amcan, he developed a cybernetic suit for excavation purposes, and to prevent the suit from being misused for military purposes, he left Amcan and joined the department, where he created a team of superhumans, Flight, to defend Canada, inspired by the Fantastic Four. The majority of Hudson's powers come from his supersuit. With his Flight, he can fly, create force fields, and blast energy. He became the leader of the Alpha Flight, and with an immense sense of duty and patriotism, he became a heroic idol for Canada. James Hudson married Heather McNeil, whom he met at Amcan, and recruited her to the team as well as Vindicator. Vindicator, Heather Hudson. Like her husband, James, Heather also started out as a civilian, working as the executive secretary in Amcan, and initially was not even a part of the Alpha Flight. Although she was always supportive of her husband's endeavor, it was only after James's death in a battle with Omega Flight that she decided to step forward to lead Alpha Flight, even without any combat skills. With the help of her other team members, she rebooted her husband's old suit and later upgraded to her own suit, which gave her the power to control the geothermal forces like magma, heat, and seismic energy. Her involvement with Alpha Flight was more of a necessity, and over time, she became known as the Vindicator. Northstar. Northstar, born Jean-Paul Beaubier, was an orphan who was raised in Quebec after he was separated from his twin sister, Aurora. Even before discovering his mutant abilities, he was a world-class skier. After he discovered his powers of flight, speed, and light generation, he joined a terrorist group in Quebec, but eventually left the group due to ideological conflicts. Following this, Department H, which was well aware of his powers, recruited him as a member of Alpha Flight. He became one of the fastest members of the group, capable of sonic speed and sonic booms. His consent to be a member of Alpha Flight was partly motivated by a desire to reunite with his sister Aurora, and partly to find a new purpose beyond politics. He's also one of the first openly gay superheroes in Marvel, who went to great lengths to protect his partner Kyle during the anti-mutant propaganda raging in Canada. Aurora. Jean-Marie Beaubier, better known as Aurora, is Northstar's twin sister, also born and raised in Quebec in a convent. She had severe childhood trauma, due to which she developed dissociative identity disorder at quite an early age. Like her brother, she was also initially unaware of her powers and discovered them later while trying to grapple with her conflicting personalities, the shy, devout Jean-Marie and the wild, confident Aurora. Department H also helped her discover her true potential and eventually facilitated her reunion with her brother, inviting her to join the Alpha Flight. Her powers were also similar to those of her brother. She has superhuman speed, the ability to fly, enhanced reflexes, and the ability to emit bright light. It is, however, important to note that both Northstar and Aurora can only generate and emit the blinding light when they come in contact with each other. Her recruitment into Alpha Flight gave her a sense of belonging and an outlet to explore her fractured identities. Despite her mental health struggles, she remains one of the most valuable members of Alpha Flight. Puck. Before becoming Puck, A formidable member of Alpha Flight, Eugene Judd was an adventurer and mercenary who stumbled upon the mystical Black Blade of Baghdad. While trying to contain its demonic energy, he was cursed, shrinking from a towering man to his current 3-foot 6-inch form, but gaining incredible resilience and agility. This transformation left him eternally youthful and nearly invulnerable. Department H recruited him due to his unmatched combat skills, resourcefulness, and long experience fighting supernatural threats. Puck doesn't have traditional superpowers like flight or energy projection. Instead, his strength, toughness, agility, and vast fighting knowledge make him a compact powerhouse. In Alpha Flight, he serves as both a frontline fighter and a moral anchor. Puck's recruitment stemmed from his desire for redemption and belonging, finding a family among Alpha Flight despite his own cursed existence. Shaman. In his earlier life, Shaman was a skilled surgeon, Michael two young men, working for the Sarkey First Nation. Despite his surgical skills, when he failed to save his wife, he turned away from modern medicine and dedicated himself to traditional healing practices. After mastering the spiritual arts, he became a shaman, a powerful sorcerer with the ability to summon the spirits of nature, wield magical artifacts from his medicine pouch, and most importantly, heal. He was recruited by Department H as a member of the Alpha Flight because of his unique medical expertise and magical abilities, which later proved to be immediately helpful in battles and their aftermath. He was specifically indispensable during battles involving mystical threats. He also has the ability to generate protective barriers and travel interdimensionally. His pouch is virtually limitless. He often acts as a guide and mentor to the team, especially to his daughter Elizabeth, who also became a part of Alpha Flight with the pseudonym Talisman. Snowbird. Of all the members of Alpha Flight, Snowbird, or Narya, has the most mystical origin. She was born of a human mother and Hodiak, a mystical northern god. Unlike most other members, she did not have a chance at a normal life. Instead, she was raised by the gods of North and trained for combat from an early age, and eventually was granted permission to live among the mortals to fulfill her destiny of defeating the great beasts. Department H discovered her divine origins and recruited her to Alpha Flight as a supernatural powerhouse against mystical threats. She possesses the ability of superhuman strength and flight, but her most significant power is the ability to shapeshift into any Arctic animal or mythical creature. However, there are some restrictions on her power. Her powers are strongest within Canada, but start to weaken when she leaves Canada. Her recruitment into Alpha Flight fulfills her divine mission, while also helping her discover her human side more. Sasquatch. Before becoming Sasquatch, Dr. Walter Langowski was a former football star and a renowned physicist. He was highly inspired by Hulk's transformation, and therefore, he wanted to recreate the transformation on himself. Unfortunately, during his escapades, he accidentally opened a portal to the realm of the great beasts, and instead of becoming Hulk's Canadian counterpart, he transformed into Sasquatch, a massive creature with orange fur, straight out of folklore. But you win some, you lose some. While he didn't succeed in becoming Hulk, he had one great advantage over Hulk. He retained his personality and intelligence as Sasquatch, thus allowing him to remain a scientist even in his monstrous form. Apart from his scientific flair, he gained immense strength from the transformation, which is why he was recruited into Alpha Flight. As Sasquatch, he can lift tremendous weights, heal rapidly, and endure extreme damage. Over the years, Walter has struggled with the beastly side of his transformation, even battling possession by the great beasts. Notable associates and other members. Wolverine. Logan was part of the super soldier program Weapon X, where he underwent adamantium bonding and conditioning. This experiment turned him into Wolverine and made him a wild, feral man who went ahead to live in the wilderness. During this time, he encountered James Hudson and his wife Heather in the woods, and unable to control his wild side, he attacked them, but was shot by Hudson in self-defense. Logan's healing powers helped him survive the shot. Hudson saw potential in Logan's healing factor and combat skills and decided he could be saved and reined in as a member of Alpha Flight, rather than hunted down or killed. Wolverine was one of the first members of Alpha Flight, and during his initial days, he even helped Hudson recruit other members to the team. Apart from the healing factor, he also has enhanced senses, superhuman reflexes, and, let's not forget, the iconic adamantium claws. He eventually leaves Alpha Flight, but often rejoins them on different missions. He's kind of an on and off member of the team, but his relationship with Hudson and Puck is an integral part of Alpha Flight's history. Marina. Marina is a Plot X by origin who was sent to Earth as an egg to imprint the DNA of the human race, so that the Plot X could use the information to realize their plan of conquering Earth. Since the egg landed in the Atlantic Ocean, it gained unique underwater abilities, as the egg adapted to the underwater environment. Following this, she was discovered by Thomas Smallwood, who brought the egg to his home, and once hatched, Thomas and wife raised Marina as their own. Marina has hybrid human and Plot X DNA, but she didn't inherit the destructive tendencies of the Plot X. She's also amphibious with webbed hands and feet, and fish-like eyes, and can swim at superhuman speeds. Her skin also protects her from harsh conditions, and she can dive into the deepest parts of the ocean, even in freezing temperatures. It was her brother who approached the Canadian government to reveal the abilities of his sister, after which she was recruited to Alpha Flight. Eventually, her Plot X instincts get the better of her, and she turns into the homicidal Leviathan. Talisman. Elizabeth Two Young Men. As a child, Talisman was separated from her father Shaman when he could not save his dying wife. Years later, Talisman, or Elizabeth Two Young Men, discovered a skull during a dig and accidentally released the great beast Rannoch. This united the father-daughter duo and they were able to defeat Rannoch, but during the battle, she was struck by a mystical blast, and upon touching the coronet of enchantment, she was transformed into Talisman. Soon after discovering her immense mystic powers, she joined Alpha Flight and accompanied her father on many missions. Her powers include vast magical abilities, energy manipulation, banishing demons, healing, and accessing mystical knowledge beyond normal human comprehension. She even has absolute command over the spirits. However, as luck would have it, the coronet was ripped from her head, which reduced her back to a mere mortal. Marvelous verdict. The Alpha Flight is not just Canada's answer to X-Men. It's a completely different story arc with narratives of identity and resilience amidst the countless shakeups, betrayals, and resurrection. Despite being constantly pulled between serving the government and protecting the innocent as an independent team, they managed to keep the spirits of their team alive and stood as strong as ever against the enemy. Even though their future remains uncertain, we can wait for what's in store for Alpha Flight next. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, be safe, and thanks everyone.